And we are back. Joining me in the studio now is Deb Sarsany from the Deb Sarsany team over at the Real Estate Group. Deb, how you doing today?
Awesome. How about you?
Awesome as
Good.
well. Fantastic day in Springfield, right?
That's right.
Well, we're going to learn about what you do with the Real Estate Group and your team and all that. But before we do that, let's just learn a little bit about Deb. Tell us about your background.
Okay. Well, I grew up in Nokomis. I don't know if you're familiar
Oh,
with
yeah.
with Nokomis,
Yeah.
which is here in central Illinois. So Springfield was where we came from Nokomis for the mall, for shopping, for restaurants, for all the fun and stuff that you would do. So yeah, grew up there and then went to Lincoln Land for a couple years and then went on to Champaign where I got a degree in dental biology or dental hygiene. And then I also studied for dental biology. Obviously, I'm not doing that
I was going
now.
to say you're not doing that now, but did you ever do that?
Oh, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, for many years. But then at the time, my husband traveled a lot. And so the rules and regulations around OSHA and then being in hygiene, I had to take a state board with every state that we went to. And then kids came along and it just got to be it was too hard to keep up with. So I did enjoy it.
What drew you to it in the first place?
I just wanted something to do with, I knew I was never going to be a doctor and I was never going to be a dentist, and I didn't want to be a nurse. I have great respect for nurses because I could not do their job. Things that they have to look at and smell and see is not me.
Right, right.
So this was just kind of a next quick thing that I could do and started at dental assisting in the very first year that Lincoln Land ever had that
Oh, really?
program back in 1979. I'm aging myself now. But yeah, and then went from there and I thought, I kind of like this. I think I'll go the next step. So went into dental hygiene. And then from there, it's like, I like that. So I got an EDDA, which is kind of like a nurse practitioner, but in the dental
For
field.
dental, okay.
For dental, yeah. So the dentist would come in and could drill the teeth and then I would go in right behind him and fill them. So, but then I soon found out that a lot of states didn't recognize that. I got that in Texas at the University of Texas. So anyway, come full circle we moved to Topeka, Kansas. And the gal who was the real estate agent that helped us find our house actually contacted me and said, "Hey, after meeting you, and have you ever thought about getting into real estate?" I'm like, not one day in my life
Sure.
have I ever thought of going into real estate, but hey, I'm up for trying something new. And so I did it. I started at a little mom and pop office called Kirk and Cobb.
Okay.
I don't even think it's there anymore. I've looked for it.
That was in Topeka?
That was in Topeka
Okay.
like 37 years ago.
Uh-huh.
So that's where I started and got my taste for it and then just fell in love with it. So in the past 37 years, not consistently, but off and on, I have worked in Dallas and in Missouri. And then here in Springfield, I've been in real estate for about 20 years.
That's awesome. 37 years ago, what was that first sale that you got into the business? It could probably, it's difficult getting started and everything, start getting clients and everything. But when was that first sale and what was it?
Well, it was difficult.
Yeah.
Because back then there were no cell phones.
Mm-hmm.
I say back then like I'm a dinosaur, but back then we did not have cell phones. We did not have the computers to bring up the listings. We didn't have maps to help us get to the listings. So I remember it was like a farming type community house that was out in the middle of nowhere. And you get out there and the key wasn't where it was supposed to be. Nothing was going right. There was no cell phone to call and get backup or help or find out what's not working like we can now. But they stuck with me. I felt bad for the buyers because I felt new. And I was trying to, portray that I knew what I was doing. But at the same time, everything went wrong with that very first showing, even. So, but a lot more tools in our toolbox right now that help this job. How I can write contracts on my phone now. And back then I didn't even have a cell phone to call for help,
And I mean, it's a huge difference in terms of what the buyers come in knowing too. Now when they call you, they've already seen the inside, the pictures, the tours, the whole thing. Before they even go to the house.
Oh my gosh, they know why they're selling. They know if they're getting a divorce. They know who had an affair or why things are falling apart.
Right.
They bought it for this and they sold it for this and she's related to this person and it's amazing the amount of information that they come up with when they come in the door.
So what brought you back to Springfield?
Family.
Yeah.
Yeah, family. We had traveled a lot. My husband moved around a lot. I think we moved 8 times in like 13 years.
Oh, wow.
And we finally settled in St. Louis because my oldest son at the time was going into junior high.
Mhm.
And I had just made it a mission for myself that my kids would all stay and graduate from the same high school and not have to move during those years.
Sure.
So we stayed there. And then actually, it was pretty house related, believe it or not. The house that we had was getting to be like 12 or 13 years old. And that's when everything at that time started. Okay, the roof's going to need to be
Right.
replaced. The
Uh-huh.
carpeting's looking really bad. And so we just kind of sat down and talked and said, do we want to stay here? And if we do we want this house? And do we want to invest the money in it? Or do we want to buy another house here? And then we thought, well, if we're going to move, let's just move closer to our family.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So this was the closest thing we could do to be near Nokomis.
Right. Right.
And still be close to family.
Yeah, and Nokomis isn't that far. What, about 45 minutes away?
Oh, yeah.
Something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Over the river and through the woods
Right.
and the
Right.
country roads.
Exactly. Exactly. So when you came back to Springfield, did you start your own team right away? Were you on your own? What did that look like?
I did not. I had, again, that was one of those, never had an intention of starting a team.
Yeah.
Teams weren't a huge thing when I started 20 years ago here in Springfield. They were just starting that momentum of the whole concept of teams back then. And so I did join a team at Remax, and I was with them for about 8 years, and then was wooed by the real estate group to come over as an individual,
Sure.
which I did. And again, no intentions of a team. And it just organically fell in my lap and happened. I can't say that there was any planning whatsoever towards that process.
So you say it didn't really used to be that way. Teams weren't that, popular. What was the driving force behind that, where people started having all these teams now instead of just solo?
I'm not really sure what the original driving force was around that, but I think what it did for me and for other people getting on a team is it gives you that help
Mhm.
and that mentorship that you
Right.
want. And then also there's some break in taking on all those fees because this is a very expensive job to
Yeah,
do.
sure.
Costs money to make money in real estate. And then just having those people there that have your back. So if I couldn't be somewhere at 10 o'clock to show a house, I've got backup. Somebody can help me. If you have questions, people are there. It was just maybe the companionship and the just having that clique of
Mhm.
people that had like values and wanted to help you succeed.
Yeah, and I would imagine for the younger agents, the ones that are just starting in the field, it helps them a lot because they automatically have brand recognition because they're part of the Deb Sarsany team. They're
Right.
just not them going in,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So-
And to be honest with you, in this market, and like I said, I've done it for 37 years. I really don't know how agents come in without a team support now. I would say the majority of the agents in Springfield are on a team
Mhm.
right now or have been on a team. So
You think most of that is because of the cost of doing it solo? When you're first going in, how expensive it is, and you're not
yes,
making sales, you're not making money. So
that's
getting on that
right.
team is a lot
And
easier.
you get leads.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that, part of being on a team and people on my team is I do give all the agents on my team leads. I pay for the Zillow and stuff like that. But that's not the main purpose. I want someone on my team. I look at Zillow and my leads as a pacifier for them. I'll get you up and I'll get you going. But if I want to be a true, real team leader and doing the right thing for them, my job is to teach them how to get those leads on their own and how to keep those leads and cultivate and farm and grow their own business without needing to get it. Because if you think about it, I was thinking about I would say 90% of my business comes from, for me personally, past clients, networking, like you and I had just talked about, relationships that I've built. And it's come to the conclusion that those past clients are probably my most predictable leads that I'm going to ever have. And so I spend more time in my business focusing on those that already know me, who have used me, who have worked with me, than going out and searching for new leads.
Right. You think that's pretty standard amongst realtors that have been in the business a long time, where a lot of their business comes from either repeat clients or referral clients?
I think it could be.
Yeah.
I think that's the way it should be.
Mm.
Now, are there really good seasoned agents out there who don't keep in contact with past clients? Absolutely,
Mm.
which I don't know why. But, once I have you as a client, I almost bring you into the family. I
Right.
mean, it's
Absolutely.
really hard because sometimes you spend lots of weekends, lots of days, and lots of time with someone, and you get to know them, and they almost do become your friend.
Mm.
And so those are easy to stay in contact with. But then there's those that you do the transaction and it's business and it's over. But I always try to reach out to past clients at least 4 to 5 times a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just at least let them, it's consistency, at
Hmm.
least letting them know I'm here.
Yeah. You're here. You're
I'm
here for
still
them when they
doing
need
what
them.
I've always been doing. And so if someone does bring up, hey, I'm thinking of buying, selling, whatever it is, they'll be more prone to, oh, you might want to use Deb.
Yeah. No, I think that's a mistake that a lot of folks make in a lot of different industries. They stop after the initial sale.
Right.
They don't continue that relationship. They can continue to cultivate it. It's so important.
So important. And like I said, and that's your best source of a referral because they've already been through it with you. And hopefully it's all gone well,
Yeah.
and hopefully they've given you that 5-star review or a Google, review and stuff like that. But it's also easy to forget,
Right.
if you don't stay in front of them because once they bought the house, they're not thinking about that anymore for
Right.
a long time. So unless I keep putting my name in front of them and reminding them, then unless they're in need of that service again, the chances of them thinking about me is not going to happen very often.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So when they're working with you, how are you elevating that client experience?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I have a lot of trial and error, and I use that as obviously experience. And experience, I think, has a lot of different definitions. It can be an experience because a lot of things went wrong and you grew and you learn from it. Experience can be because you have a lot of education
Right.
behind you. And I think especially in real estate, experience goes so much further than any classes or any book work that you
Hmm.
can do. I mean, how many, square feet are in an acre? I can't tell you if I've ever used that
Right.
before, but I can tell you what's gone wrong
Hmm.
and how I will never let that happen again. Or even the things that have gone really well. And you're like, okay, we're going to make sure that we keep this train on track. But I think I've just got a lot of learning experiences from being actually in it, having worked with enough clients to know that I can predict something that's probably going to happen
Hmm.
from the very beginning, or I can see the red flags start popping up from just getting a contract from another agent just based on what lender they're using. So a lot of that is not stuff that people think of, but it's a lot of things like that that really make the experience and the transaction and everything get to a closing more smoothly.
Yeah. No, and
Yeah.
that's huge. That when you become an expert in your field, you have that power of prediction. You can see
Yeah.
around the corners. You can see you can see the
Right.
things that others don't see that are going to be coming up on it, and that's
Yeah.
massive for your clients.
It is.
So,
And even in this job, even when you think you've seen it all and done it, I mean, what is it, 37 years? I mean, gosh, even this year already, probably something's popped up that I'm went, where did that come from?
sure.
I have never seen this in a why hasn't this happened before?
Uh-huh.
And then of course, regulations, National Association of Realtors, we had that big lawsuit a couple years ago that changed how everybody does business now. And so that's put a whole new I guess, different thinking of how you can go after buyers and making sure. Because now, I don't know if you're
No, that's
aware.
what I was going to say for the audience. If anybody
Yeah.
doesn't know about that, what did that do?
So it only takes one
Mhm.
to mess it up for everybody.
Right.
So it was a lawsuit and basically had to do with how commissions are paid. And so now, and we won't get through all of this, that would be a whole nother 3 hours. But basically, to get to the nuts and bolts of it, in order for me to now show you or any other buyer a property, you and I have to sign a buyer agreement before I ever put the key in the door to open it for you to see the house.
Really?
And it's just making sure that you're aware that you have to sign that a buyer agreement with me before I can do that, and telling you why.
Mm.
And like I said, it's a long conversation to get into what all went down with this lawsuit, but it's coming out to say that all commissions are negotiable and it doesn't have to be paid by the seller,
Okay.
that the buyer can now pay. So that buyer agreement is you're going to agree to give me a specific amount of money or a percentage.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And you have to have that signed before you can ever even step foot in any of the houses
That's
with
right.
them.
Supposed to.
Right. Right.
Yes. Now, is everybody playing by those rules? I don't know.
Sure. Because up until 2 years ago, you could just show without having any kind of agreement in place, you could show them whatever you wanted, essentially.
Right.
I mean, without any. Yeah.
Without any agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just assumed that when we found the house that we liked, we wrote an offer and the seller would then pay the commissions that went to the buyer and the seller agent. And now it's more written out to where buyer says they will pay if the seller doesn't want to pay. But as you can even imagine, sitting there if you're a buyer and you're buying your first home, you don't have that extra disposable cash to pay for an agent to show you houses or for their buyer side compensation. So most likely it's always going to happen in those negotiations with that seller now that we have the seller pay both sides.
So do you see buyers a little more, I guess, leery of signing off on that stuff early on?
Absolutely. And that, again, is part of the challenge now of when someone calls us as a lead off of Zillow and explaining to them, yes, I would love to show you 123 Main Street. But before we can go in, let me also tell you about this buyer agreement that you're going to have to sign with me. Well, they haven't met me.
Right.
They don't know me. Do they really want to commit to me? Do I want to commit to them?
Right.
Because it does work both ways. You're asking them to agree to pay 3% of whatever they purchase. That's a lot to ask of a buyer.
Right.
It's like, hey, come marry me before you date me.
Right. Exactly.
And so we also have where you can cancel those contracts too if you want to. But it's just one more step that makes it harder for us as agents, and it makes it more intimidating for the buyers. And then obviously, if the buyer were to have to pay for that, more costly. So we're trying to get everybody into houses, but yet at the same time, we're throwing up these roadblocks everywhere.
And I would imagine, say the buyer that they're not in any hurry to move, but they're like, well, if the right thing comes across, maybe I'll move. I could imagine somebody like that saying, I don't want to sign something like that yet. I don't know if I'm just to see this house. I might be moving. I might not. This is just kind of checking some stuff out. That probably weeds some of that out, I guess, a little bit.
It does. But what you just said is basically what I hear every day. Well, I just want to look at the house. Right. I don't even know if I want to buy it yet. I understand that, but you still have to sign this. So you can see that it's really complicated, hard conversations.
Oh, I bet.
Right now. And even more so because of that, I think the buyers need to feel more comfortable with the agent that's going to be working with them and taking them from point A to Z for a closing.
Yeah. And that makes it especially important for you, for that 90% of your clients coming from past relationships. They have that relationship with you already, and they're fine signing off on that type of stuff. But it's that percent that doesn't know you or just met you that might be a little leery about that, I guess.
Correct.
So let's go through. Say you're on the seller's side. Somebody gives you a call, say, Deb, I'd like to sell my home. Walk us through your process. What you do here.
Well, the first part is I try to gather as much information as I can from you before I even meet with you. We just did this morning, and so this is kind of easy and it's routine for me. But tell me about your house. How long have you lived there? Can you do a little homework ahead of time before you and I meet? Let me know about all the updates that you've made. What have you put into the property? What's your timeline of wanting to move? We also discuss having your house pre-inspected, making sure that it's easy for the buyer to come in and we don't have any red flags or any hurdles that pop up at the last minute, and setting you up for success. Let's set up an appointment. I want to come look at your house. I want to give you any pointers I can give you on what you're going to need to do to make it show best to the buyers. The one thing I won't do is give you any idea of what I think your house is worth till I've had the opportunity to walk through it. Because a lot of times they'll say, well, you can probably go back and see that we paid this and this for it 8 years ago and we put a new roof on and that do you think you can give me an idea? And I don't want to do that. Because first of all, it sets some crazy expectations
Mhm.
out there. I may be real high and I could be real low. But well, I've got 2,500 square feet and the house next door just sold and it's sold for that. So I'm thinking that's what I'm going to sell for. Well, square feet is not the same in every house.
Right.
Your wife could do an absolutely fantastic job and your 2,500 square feet could shine and, be worth a lot more than the 25 square feet next door
Right.
that grandma's lived there and never
Never touched
changed
a
a
thing.
thing. So anyway, so it's a process. So I need to go, I need to look at the house, I need you to show it to me. I have you walk me through it. Have you show me all of the improvements that you've made. I ask you if there's anything, do you have water in the basement? Is there anything that we need to know about that might come back to get us before we get to the closing table? And then I go back and do my homework. And then I go back and pull comparable houses that I think would be on the same line as yours. And it's kind of a checks and balances. You have 4-car garage, somebody else has a 2, but you have 4 bedrooms and somebody else has 3. You have 4 bathrooms, somebody else has 2, but you might all have the same square footage.
Right.
So that's where, people get a little sidetracked by square footage because it doesn't matter. It's what's in that square footage and what
Mhm.
does that square footage contain. And again, updates. Even though some people want to say, "Hey, I put a $30,000 roof on," they want you immediately to add the 30,000 to the value of their home.
Right.
That's maintenance,
Right. That's
dude.
not how that works. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Right.
That's like those are things that you just have to do to take care of the home. You can't ding a buyer to have them come now pay you back 30,000 for a roof that was going to need to be replaced whether
Mhm.
you decided to move or not.
Right.
So there's a lot of challenges too and it depends on the seller. Sometimes I'll get the seller and they'll be like, "We understand exactly what you're saying. Yes, we're going to paint that pink and green room and we're going to put it
Right.
back to neutral. And yes, we understand we need to declutter, we need to purge, we need to get rid of some things to make the house show well."
Mhm.
And there's other people who just believe that that's the way it is. And some buyers going to want it because buyers are desperate and they're not going to do a thing.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
So when it comes to remodeling, not the maintenance stuff, but say remodeling kitchens and baths, what are some things over the years that have brought some of that resale value into it? What are some of the best practices there that homeowners could do?
definitely kitchens. Kitchens are top. And I think that's one of the things where the husband and wife can both agree upon.
Mhm.
There's always going to be the husband gravitating towards the garage and where's his man cave
Right,
and his
right.
space. But for the most part, the husband and wife come together on the kitchen is important. And so anything you can do to bring value to the kitchen usually gets your money back.
Mm.
Bathrooms would obviously be second. And then other than that, I would say it goes to outdoor spaces. People like to be out on their patios and their decks and entertaining, and they can get awed and oohed by an outdoor fireplace or an
Mhm.
outdoor kitchen. But other than that, a bedroom's a bedroom,
Right, right.
right? I mean, you're not going to change that. A living room's a living room. If you can create some really cool bar space and stuff in the basement, yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, yeah.
But your
Those kind
money,
of more
yeah,
bonus areas that people like, you
yeah,
know?
money's best spent on kitchen, baths, outdoor, like curb appeal too.
Mhm.
I've had people who have driven up with me in the driveway before and just taken a look at a house and said, "Yeah, I don't want to go inside."
Right.
I'm like, "Whoa, but you're judging a book by the cover." And they're like, "Look, if they can't keep the cover in good condition, then I don't know what they've done on the inside." And that's true too when you go to show a house. If it isn't clean and it isn't sparkly and it doesn't look like they care,
Right.
then the buyer's mind starts going to, "Well, when's the last time they checked the furnace filter?"
Yeah.
There's things like that that play
Yeah,
into it too.
lawn's overgrown and all that
Yeah.
stuff, yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. You can tell, has it been loved?
Mhm.
Has it been maintained? And if what we see hasn't been loved and maintained, what aren't we seeing?
Right,
Yeah.
right. What about master baths? I would imagine they're a step above just any old bathroom,
I've seen
right?
some crazy master baths, let me
Yeah.
tell you. I would say the thing right now is people are doing away with those darn big, crazy garden tubs. Remember
Oh
those
yeah.
big
Oh
tubs
yeah.
in the
Yeah.
corner? And then what they would do is they'd put a window on each side of it.
Right.
It's like you couldn't walk into a master bath that didn't have this big bathtub and a big window.
Big window.
It
Right.
was like, okay, what were they thinking? But those are going away.
Uh huh.
So just having one bathtub, like within, so for kids and stuff like that. But master baths now are going into these crazy walk-in showers
That's what I was
with
gonna say. Are they the big, almost like
30
wet
different,
room
yeah,
type
30
deals? Yeah.
different jets. And you're like, I don't know what goes on in here, but
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's what I've tend to have seen a lot lately.
yeah.
That's when people are putting money in those. It's like the full wet room experience where you got this giant walk-in
Yeah,
shower.
you got your own spa.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Closet space, I say, is pretty important too to
Yeah.
people. Yeah.
Okay. Well, with all that said, if you get a house on the market, what's the Springfield market looking like right now? We in some
It's
crazy times?
it's tough. I will say with spring, we've had a little bit more inventory come in, which has helped tremendously. I listed a house day before yesterday, and we cut it off at 7 o'clock last night because we already had multiple offers. And the seller was like, "Hey, I've got a couple in here now that I could be happy with. Let's not go through having to create a flow sheet
Right.
just to say this one against this one against this one." So if you're a buyer, all I can say is just have patience and have faith that the right one
Mhm.
will come and you'll eventually get it. If you're a seller, you are walking away with more equity right now than you probably could have ever imagined that you would get. So it's a great time to sell. It's just not the best time to be a desperate buyer.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But the market hopefully will get better. I know the Fed changes their chair. All the real estate agents and brokers, we're all keeping our fingers crossed that maybe interest rates might come down a little bit because our number one clog in the pipe right now is interest rates.
Right.
Do you have an interest rate on your house?
I do. Yeah. And it's low.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're like every other seller. I've
Yeah.
had so many people come to me and say, Deb, I would sell my house tomorrow if I knew I could keep my 2.3 interest rate.
Right. Yeah. I got right before COVID. So it wasn't the super low. It was in the three. It was a
Yeah.
three, but so I didn't get down to the two, but still three.
Right.
Not getting that now.
I've kind of named it
So,
the golden handcuff
right.
because it's like all of these sellers are literally handcuffed to their house right now because they don't want to give up that interest rate unless they absolutely have to.
Right.
But if you think about it and you really do the math, and I've done this for many, many people, it's like the difference between your 3 and a 6 right now. Most people don't stay in their house 30 years. Got to keep that in mind.
Yeah. And I won't be.
Right.
So,
So it's not like you're going to be paying this
right.
for 30 years. Most people stay in their house. It used to be about 7. Now it's getting closer to 5. So you have to think of everything over a 5-year. That interest rate, if things change when the Fed changes and it comes down a little bit, can almost promise you it's never coming back down to 2.3 or 3,
Right.
maybe not even ever 4.
Mhm.
So you're really not talking about that difference, but you can always refinance if it does. And then you risk losing a house that you really like or having to pay a lot more for it because the longer these buyers go without finding a house, the higher the prices are going in
Right.
Springfield. So
Mhm.
what you think you might be saving between an interest rate, you're paying more in a mortgage payment
Right.
because of paying higher on that too.
So is it still normal to have that many offers on most of your listings?
I would
Yeah.
say if, and rightly so, there are some sellers out there that are like, okay, I don't have to move, but I'm going to get greedy here.
Right. See if I
Because,
yeah.
yeah, so why not? Let's see how much equity I can get out of it.
Mm.
And then they sometimes don't take the right advice and just price it high, hoping that there's that desperate seller that's going to come and pay this. A lot of times that works. Sometimes it doesn't. There are people who will put their house on the market just for that purpose. But yeah, I don't think I've written an offer that I haven't been part of other offers, which then comes into being strategic when you write that offer for your buyer because you have to cover a lot of things. So, someone's going in and just as an example, a house is listed for 220 and now you've got buyers offering 260.
Mhm.
That's not unusual. That's just
Wow.
happened this week.
Wow.
I've done my job to list that house at where it's going to lie in the market right now with
Mhm.
an appraisal. So now what happens when the appraiser comes in 3 weeks later and he short appraises it?
Right.
Well, there goes everything that the seller had wanted because now it only appraises for 225. The buyer agreed to pay 260.
Right.
So what we have to do now is before we accept that offer, I make sure that that buyer is willing and able to cover the difference in the short appraisal.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. So there's so many things in play right now
Yeah.
that have just made the last 4 years become a completely different market than what I've ever seen it before.
Um, no, you said just put it on the market to see what you could get. I thought about that myself. A couple of houses in our neighborhood
Yeah.
sold. I'm like, wow,
Why not give it a shot? But then you have
that's
to say,
pretty
well,
good.
where am I going to go?
Yeah, yeah, exactly,
Yeah. And am I
exactly.
going to
Where am I going to be though? So,
Yeah. What's helped us a little bit and Springfield is we do have the hospitals and people who are hiring.
mhm.
So I work with some candidates who come in with some companies here in Springfield. And of course, my job is to sell them on Springfield
Sure.
and tell them all the wonderful things, which isn't hard to do. But it's good that we do have those businesses in our community who do bring in some buyers who are willing to pay some of these higher prices because our prices in Springfield compared to California, I've had people come in and go, this is this missing a number?
Right,
I'm
exactly.
like, no. And then I have people who live in Springfield who with the property tax and they're like, does this have an extra number?
Sure, sure.
Yeah,
Huh?
it just depends on where you're coming from and how you look at
Oh
it.
yeah, you're coming from California and some of those bigger cities. Yeah, we're still very,
We're
very
sweet.
affordable.
We're
Very
sweet.
affordable.
Yeah. I'll
Right.
buy one, I'll buy two.
Yeah, give me 2. I'll
Yeah.
rent the other one out. There you go. No, that's awesome. Any other trends in the marketplace right now?
I don't think so. I don't think people have been able to think about the trends as much as just, am I able to buy a house?
Right.
But like I said, for the most part, big McMansions are going away. The families seem to be want to be more in a open concept where if you're in the kitchen, you're still with the people in the living room. You can
Right.
still see what's going on around you. And they don't want formal dining rooms. They don't want formal living rooms. That's just extra furniture you have to purchase to put in the house, which you use once or twice a year or
Right.
whatever. And I see that. So I would say smaller,
Yeah.
more compact, a little more livable.
Are the duplexes, the condo styles still pretty popular?
Oh my
See them coming up
gosh.
all over the place on the west side by where I'm at. So,
Huge, huge. Yeah. There's a lot of building of, we call it single family attached.
okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. But if you haven't been in one of those lately, they're very deceiving from the,
Oh, they are.
and
Yeah.
you look at them from the outside and you're like, oh, this is a cute little place. And then you walk in, it's like, whoa, it's
Uh-huh.
huge. Cause some of them are actually have more square footage than an actual single family home. Again, it's lifestyle. What do you want? Do you want to be connected directly to your neighbor? And I mean, you are
Oh yeah.
connected,
Yeah.
party
Yeah.
wall, and walk out and see them right there. Or do you want the single family home? I think the single family attached is great for first time home buyers who don't have kids yet, or for, people who are retiring or single, they've lost a spouse, or single women, men that just don't
Mhm.
want the whole yard and whatever. But
No,
they're
I
very popular in
Yeah.
Springfield.
Oh, absolutely. When we first moved over here, I'm originally from Decatur. So we moved over here 8 or 9 years ago. And the first about year and a half, we rented one of those. And it had more square footage than our single family home that we have right now because of beautiful first level, beautiful lower level, all completely finished with
Right.
extra bedroom and bathroom and everything down there on the lower level. So they can be very deceiving because from the front, you just see the two-car garage and the door on the side
Right.
going in, but then when you go in, like, wow, this is
It really
really
opens it
great.
up. Yeah, there's some beautiful, beautiful properties that are single family attached.
Yeah.
And as you can probably tell, a lot of the developers here in Springfield with a lot of subdivisions, all those prime lots go for single family. And then the outlying border areas where they'll start putting the single family
Yeah, well, and
attached.
that's how ours was because it was in Salem Estates.
Yeah,
So that final street, right
right.
as you're before you go out of Salem Estates is all of those.
Correct.
Right. So we rented there for a year and a half or so.
The rental market is crazy here too,
Is
as
it?
well. Oh gosh, it's tough. And like I said, a lot of people I work with who are coming thinking of moving to Springfield, sometimes they'll tell me, well, maybe I'd like to find something to rent for 6 months or whatever. Well, short-term rentals are almost impossible. And then getting a rental that's even decent for, right budget
Mhm.
is very hard. I look at things, you got to be kidding me. They want
Mhm.
that much for, but God bless the landlords,
Right.
they're getting their mortgage paid off a lot faster. And,
Mhm.
if you're in that job, you're probably very happy right now
Yeah.
if you have a lot of rentals.
We did it because I had already been working over here a couple of years before we moved. So, but when we moved over here, decided, well, let's rent for a year for so my wife and girls, and then we can make a decision on
Right.
where we end up wanting to buy. So why we did it. But
Yeah.
it was great.
And I wish we had 1,000 rentals in
Hmm.
Springfield right now because we could probably almost fill them all. We got the new apartment complexes going out on the west side. And I think I sent a client to them not too long ago with Corky Joyner. He had the great insight to put that out there because he saw the need. I think his person told me they had an 8-month waiting list just to get into an apartment out there. Yeah.
Jeez, wow. So I mean,
We need housing down
that's a
here in
good thing.
Springfield
Yeah,
too.
yeah, we do. No doubt
Yeah.
about it. No doubt about it. Wow. Okay. Well, let's go back to your team for a minute. How do you select and grow your team? What kind of traits are you looking for in folks that are coming to work with you?
It's very selective. I
Yeah.
will tell you that. We have a great dynamic right now with the people we have. And anybody who approaches me who asks to be on the team, I have to make sure that they fit that. And I have to make sure that, I've got people who have been in real estate longer than me on my team. And I've got new people who are still fighting for everything that they can get. But it's a great mix. And right now we're all women. And I've had people like, oh, that cat fight. I'm like, nope,
No.
we don't. We don't. That's why it's really important to, if someone just said, hey, Deb, I want to join your team, I don't just say, hey, come on in. I mean, we really sit down. I tell them, I'm like, there are people on this team that will make you cry, like literally make you
Yeah.
cry because they'll
Yeah.
hurt your feelings.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
that's because they're telling
Yeah.
you what you need to
Pushing you
know.
for growth. Yeah.
But yeah, but there will be people, but we're all here to support you and help you. And I guess my expectations are you come to the team meetings, you take part, we support each other. When we do a team event, I want you there. Like I mentioned before about the leads, if someone comes to me and says, I just need more business and I need more leads, then I'm like, if you're looking for leads, I'm not the person for you. I'm going to give them to you, but I'm also going to teach you how to do this yourself.
Right. How to build
So,
that client
yeah,
base.
build
Yeah.
that client base. And if they were to come from another team, then I want to know what's not working for you over there that you think I'm going to fix. Because again, if it's just I'm not getting enough leads or uh, something like that, then that I'm not for you. But if it's to say I'm not getting enough support
Sure.
or I need to know more how to do this, I just feel like I've been left to flutter, then yeah, if you're looking for that, then that's what we have to offer. I'm very community based with my team. We like to give back a lot to Springfield. So one of the things I say is that we pick a charity or we pick a organization. This year we picked the Douglas School.
Oh,
I don't know
okay.
if you're familiar with
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
And then we sit down with them and we pick out a plan and we decide how is the best way we're going to support this mission this year. So I want somebody who wants to be involved with the community and wants to help out. So I need like minds. I need like vision, goals, things like that. I want somebody who wants to set goals and who wants to meet them and who wants to work hard to get them. And at the beginning of the year in January, we sit down, all of us together, and we're like, okay, what is it that you want to, how much do you want to sell this year?
Mhm.
How much
Yeah.
do you want to sell? And then it's not a matter of how much do you want to sell. Then we go back to how do you get there? What is it? Did you get there last year? If you didn't get there last year, what didn't you do that stopped you? Or what do you need to do this year to help you? And so I sit down with them all and we go through individual about, okay, I'm going to hold you to it now. And then it got to like after a couple of years when I was holding some people to it, they're like, their goals started going down. I'm like,
Oh, no,
oh, no, no,
we don't
no.
do that.
Doesn't work that way.
Not
I mean,
lowering targets around here.
this isn't a contest. And this truly is about you because I have young moms. I
Uh-huh.
have single moms. I have people close to retirement like myself. So I know that life in general is going to dictate what they can actually do. I have a mom who had twins and then has another son, and her being able to do the same things that I can do are probably not going to happen.
Mm.
So we have to make sure that things are realistic. Can you really achieve this? Yeah, we all want to make 50 million or
Right.
whatever.
Sure.
We can put that on paper, but literally, what's the realistic goal with the time you have to make this work. So, and there's frustration too, where like I don't have the money to do that, but then I might see them the next week out of town. I was like, come here, let's talk about this.
Let's talk about that
Yeah,
priority. Yeah.
priorities. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So, yeah, every team's different. I mean, every real estate agent is different. Every team is different. We're not run all the same. We all have different splits that we have with our team members. We all expect different things. We have different type of things at meetings. I'm probably a little more stringent on and making sure that I'm doing what I need to do to help them succeed. They're not just another body on a team to take up a spot.
I love that. No, if you don't have a target, you're just waffling in the wind. I mean, you're
Absolutely.
just, but you have no clear path. I mean,
No.
get that target, set the clear path to get that target.
Our business is such a roller coaster that, I can have people up here just selling that, bringing contract after contract after
Mhm.
contract, and I'll have somebody over on the wayside who hasn't done anything in 2 months, and then everything will shift. And then that person will suddenly get busy. And
Then they have the huge month and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's why it's important to continually pump people in your pipeline.
Love it. Love it. So, in terms of any other training you do with your team outside of what we were just talking about, any other specific trainings you guys go through?
There's the training that we all have to go by, but I think probably the thing we focus on the most, and I don't even know if this is training, but it is training to them, is marketing, following up,
Oh, yeah.
cultivating. And how do you do that without being a pest? How
Mhm.
do you do that without feeling like you're contacting them every 3 months? What's something new? As far as training, I would say more than anything, I challenge them. Now, let's do something new. I mean, as an example, one time we came to a meeting, I just went out and bought like packets of 12 note cards. And I just went through one in front of each of them. And I said, okay, before the next meeting, I want you to send one of these note cards to somebody you've wanted to do business with,
Mhm.
somebody that you've done business with in the past, you haven't heard from them, or somebody that you just want to partner with, partner with another business in Springfield and say, hey, how can we work together? And I support you and you support me. But do something with these 12 envelopes that will somehow get you business. And the thing about real estate that's also a thing is there's no instant gratification.
Right.
There is no Friday afternoon paycheck.
Right.
You get
Mhm.
paid when you do the job. And if you're not constantly doing the job, and it was very interesting. And then, of course, we do follow up with that. Okay, you sent out 12. Did you get any feedback? And they're like amazed, like, yeah, out of the 12, like this person called me and said, yeah, they were thinking of selling their house. Or
Mhm.
out of the 12, it was like, yeah, I'm going to have coffee with a person who owns a coffee shop downtown
There you go.
Springfield. Because we do try to partner with other businesses too and bring them in or piggyback with them if we
Uh-huh.
can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. No, and like you said, there's no instant gratification, and when you guys are selling, it's a lot longer sales process than
Oh,
many
gosh.
other industries,
Yes.
right? So it's not
Yes.
just, hey, we had a conversation today, and now we have a sale, and now we're moving on. It's a much longer process.
At least, at least. And it's a long process from the day you start until you get that very first paycheck. So, you can start real estate today, but unless you've got these clients lined up ready to list their house or you're going to, be probably 3, 4 months
Mhm.
sometimes before you actually see a paycheck. And that's why it's important to understand how this business works before you just go get your license.
Yeah.
You have to pay money all those months
Mm.
to be at your brokerage, to have access to the MLS, to have access to the key boxes. It's a monthly fee that you pay that a lot of people don't understand that when they decide they want to go into the real estate business.
Right.
Yeah, it costs money to make
Absolutely.
money.
Absolutely
And
does.
they say that it takes about 5 years for you to really be successful
Uh-huh.
at it.
Did you find that was pretty close for you? Where at 5 years you started feeling
I
the
think
feeling the
so.
momentum a little bit?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I actually see that on my team too, because I've
Really?
got people on my team now that they're starting, maybe started 3 years ago or 4 years ago, or like, "So and so just called me. I sold them that house like 3 years ago, and now they're ready to move again." That's not past business you rely on. Like I said, that's the reason that person gets something from me 3 or 4 times a year, is invited to our customer appreciation parties and things like that, because I want them to also think about me when the neighbor wants to sell or the son wants to sell or the daughter or So it's a spoke
Yeah,
that
yeah, and
kind of goes
that's what's key. Yeah, you want all those people to be, "Hey, oh, you're yeah, call Deb. Oh, you're
right.
son yeah, call Deb."
It's
Right?
getting that networking, as you know, like you said, you're part of networking groups as I am. And even that's not instant gratification.
No. Mm-mm.
That's continued consistency and people who just go in and sit down at those things and think, oh, just because I'm here
Right.
and I'm sitting across the table from you, you're now going to start. No, you have to show your value. You
Mhm.
have to show that they can trust you. If I'm going to refer somebody, I've got to trust you
Right.
first. And so, even networking groups, sometimes it'll be 2 years before you'll ever get an actual good referral
Yeah.
from someone. And
No, you're absolutely right. There are people that go to those and expect an immediate return on
yeah,
them being there for a couple
right.
of times. That's
And
not
then
the
they,
way that
they
works.
show up one time and then maybe they don't show up for two
Mhm.
times and then they show up again.
Right.
And that I think in itself is just, look, you got to be accountable, dude.
Mhm.
I got to show that you have it to just show up at these meetings
Yeah.
the one I'm in, we meet 2 times a month. If you can't make 2 times a month work, I'm not referring you, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, let's talk about that. What's the ones you're involved in or have been involved in over the years?
Networking or like boards and
Networking
stuff.
or
Okay.
anything, but we'll start with networking.
Yeah. Networking is Capital Area Networkers. I've had that it's going on 9 years this year, but we started at BNI, which most people know what BNI is, which charged, which required. They were getting to where they were getting just a little too stringent and you had to meet like every Monday morning. So a group of us went aside and said, let's do this that best fits us. And so that's why you're like, let's do 2 times a month. Then let's do accountability. So if you miss 3 meetings without having a sub there, you're out. You give
Yeah.
up your chair. Unlike some networking groups too, we only have one real estate agent. We only have one lawyer. We have one accountant. We have one financial advisor. So that chair is yours to make with it what you want.
Yeah.
And we won't bring anybody in to compete with you. Like insurance agencies are different though, because there's commercial insurance and
Sure.
car insurance and Medicaid and things
Mhm.
like that. So we do have several insurance agents in there, but we respect you, you respect us, and to respect us, you show up
Yeah,
on those meetings.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're making a commitment and you're gonna be there.
I can
Yeah.
come every other Tuesday. Why can't you? Or
Mhm.
whatever. So that's probably a very good one for me. I have now been in there. We've had some of the same people in there for 8 years.
Oh, wow.
So we
Yeah.
really know each other.
Mhm.
But our group goes beyond just networking and referring. We also do supportive things with each other. Like we have collaboration challenges where
Mhm.
you and I need to sit down and I have to promote you and you have to promote me in
Oh,
a very creative and collaborative way.
I like that a
And
lot.
then
That's
you come
cool.
back and you share with us what you did for each other. And then that lets you and I get to know each other more personally too than sitting at a table with 20 people.
Right.
So that's that. I also have found a lot by just being involved in boards in
Mhm.
Springfield, volunteering. I do believe that if you're going to get on a board or if you're going to get involved with specific nonprofits or organizations, that it really needs to be aligned with your vision. I've seen a lot of people who get on and they're on there for the wrong reason.
Yeah,
They're on
we
there
don't want a seat filler
yeah, they're on
and
there
a
for the wrong
resume builder.
reason. So that's why I'm on the Habitat. I did 2 board stints with them and I just went off that board. But that's all about building houses for low income and making sure everybody has a right to the American dream.
Yeah.
Very much my goal, close to what my vision is. And then Capital Area Realtors, I've served on that board in many ways just because I want to be involved with what
Mhm.
runs my business. And then, downtown Springfield, I've
Oh,
been
yeah.
involved, local, things like that. So, Illinois Women in Leadership,
Mhm.
Women Entrepreneurs of Central Illinois. Again, things that you need to get involved with because they fit your mission and your value and your goals. People who walk in those doors and sit at those tables and think, I'm only here because I want you to give me your business or whatever, it's not going to work.
No, absolutely
Never going
not.
to work.
Now, WCI and Illinois Women in Leadership, I've had both of them on. They've both been on the show and talked
Yeah.
about what they do. So very
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, that's the thing. If you're going to get on a board, don't do it as a resume builder or any kind of
No.
thing. Don't just be a seat filler. Have it end with your purpose. Have it toward what you are trying to do. So
And your passion.
yeah, your passion. So
Something that you're, really mean. Denim and diamonds
Mhm.
is a huge passion to me. I was diagnosed with breast cancer like 3 years ago and went through that whole rabbit hole and stuff. And I was already on Denim and Diamonds. They raise money for cancer research, and it all stays right here in Springfield. So that is a huge passion for me, is like, if I can do whatever I can to help them find a cure, maybe someday in my lifetime.
Absolutely.
And because of that, I did not go into that with the purpose of what's in it for me. I went in it to, how can I help to make this better, or make this some type of research to help it ease the burden of the women with the breast cancer, because again, that's a whole nother topic. But through that, just because of being authentic and being there for the right visions, I have had a ton of business from people that have been on those committees. And again, I didn't go in asking for that. That was not my reason to go on to that. But if you do things with the right passion and the right vision, and people get to know you, it's a way to build your business too,
it is.
without even thinking about it.
People feel that. They feel that heart that you're putting into that, and they want to
Yes.
do business with you after that. They do.
I do. I know. And it makes me sad a lot of times when businesses downtown close and things like that. I'm jumping off on a different thing, but it kind of segues, is that, you still have to get out there and let people know that what you do and where you're at. And, sometimes I hear of a local business down here close. I'm like, I never heard of them. It's like, I would have gone to possibly, how many times can you go out to eat downtown?
True.
Right.
True. Yeah.
And how many times can you buy, I don't know, a pair of socks from the cardiologist or whatever. And I love those stores. Those stores also have to let everybody know that they're here.
Yeah, you're right. No, you have to be out there all the time.
Yeah.
Keep pushing that button. You have to be omnipresent, where people see you all the time.
Right.
So they know you're there.
Right.
So would you say that's probably the biggest reason your business has grown, the relationships and the continued follow-up and everything?
That, and I think consistency. Consistency costs a lot of money that doesn't pay you back instantly. As an example, I run an ad in the Chatham Neighbors. Yeah, it costs me a lot of money every month. Has anybody ever called me in the 5 years that I've done this and said, I just saw your ad?
Right.
Or I just saw your billboard, or I just saw, this. But they remember you. I have had people in the grocery store say, you look familiar. I'm not sure. Oh, it's that ad that I see in the magazine. Did they need me for real estate at that point? No. Did they ask me to sell? No. But they recognize me through consistency. And I think that's hard for some businesses to realize. Do I like paying that paycheck every month, knowing no one's probably going to call me off of this ad this month, but somebody's going to tell somebody about me, or they're going to say hi to me or whatever. So I know it's working.
Right. Yeah. Because you never know your true ROI on something like that.
Right.
But it's working based on all that coming back. So.
Yeah. And it's important to follow up on that ROI and where it's spent. I just think there's just too many people who just don't want to spend the money that it takes to get themselves in front of people. I'm talking real estate as much as I'm talking like just our general businesses too.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Consistency is definitely key.
Right.
So 37 years in, what's your favorite thing about the business? About just being in this industry?
I don't know. Everything that would be my favorite would probably be my least favorite too.
Yeah.
Seriously, my favorite is the people. Sometimes my least favorite is the people.
Sure.
Sometimes my favorite is setting my own hours or not having set hours. Sometimes that's my least favorite.
Sure.
So I would say the people by far are something different every day. Not knowing that I'm going to go into a dental office and I'm going to do the same thing from 8 to 5. For this one, what I had planned for 3:00 this afternoon at 8:00 in the morning may change. Or what I have planned tomorrow, I don't even know what tomorrow will bring, because how many people are going to call to want to see a house. So it's like the ever changing, pivoting, not knowing exactly what's going to happen is kind of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that too. I love having that variety,
Nothing stale.
Right. So what do you love about Springfield?
I like that Springfield, and it could go both ways. I love that it's the biggest small town you could be in, and it's also the smallest big town you can be in. And even then, it's like you can walk to the one day that you won't look your best is the day you'll meet 50 people you know. And the one day you're like, dang, I look good.
I'm getting
you ain't
it today.
running into anybody that has met you or whatever.
Right.
I love that we all come together too and try to support each other. It's like even with the support local and things like that. It takes action.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I like about Springfield. We also act upon it.
Mm-hmm.
We have people who will take pictures of, hey, this restaurant, come see it, or I just bought this, go buy it. But Springfield, it's like in the middle of everything. I think you've got it's like an appetizer to Chicago and Indianapolis and St. Louis and Kansas City. You can get what you want right here, but if you want something bigger and tastier or you just can't find it,
Right.
you're within 2 hours to so many different places. We've got the Muni, we've got the Hoogland, we've
Mm-hmm.
got different places. So, I like that we got that small taste, but we don't have to fight the big crowds or the other things to get that. But if we want that, jump on the train, jump
Right.
in your car.
Right there.
You're there. Yeah.
Absolutely. So let's flip over to the personal side for just a second. Anything you do to elevate your life personally?
I would say the one thing that took me the longest to learn, and I think a lot of people is how to spend your energy
Mm-hmm.
and saving it. Spending your energy on things you can't change or things that really don't make that big of a difference. And spending on things like family and faith. And I love to travel. So it's like I try to get good juju. I'm not saying it doesn't happen because I did have a buyer just this past week that just one mention of something that just really took my energy down. And it was like, I can't believe it. That's not how that goes. And I let so much negative energy come in, focused on this one little comment.
Right.
And then you start thinking about it. But look at all these thousands of other buyers that you've had such positive relationships with. You're going to let this one person pull on your energy. And so I'm better on that. And I've learned to say no and to be more selective of where I spend my energy and my time and how I spend it. And I've got grandkids now. So it's
Sure.
like I want to be there for them. But
Yeah.
it took a long time for me to learn that I had control over, I say the word energy because it really feels like
It
energy,
is. Yeah.
to
Absolutely.
make it either positive or negative. Excuse me, pissed me off
Yeah.
this week when I
Absolutely.
let that one negative comment just ruined my day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, dang it, why are you doing this?
Right.
That's not you.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a stupid comment anyway, but yet you just took it too personal
Right.
and let it go. So it's like I try to not take things too personal, live my life and put my energy where it's most focused and gives me the most return on being happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, the negativity stuff, I wear this as a reminder every day. One of these little bracelets. It's like, no negativity allowed, be positive.
I
So
love it.
wear it every single day. Just
I
a little
love it.
reminder. And my other one, massive action. Be obsessed with
Yeah.
the average, massive action. So take that action, but no negativity allowed, be positive. Every single
reminders.
day. Just reminders
Yeah.
right there.
We all need it once in a while.
Yeah,
Like I said, I
absolutely.
thought I was a pro at it until like this week. And then it was like, there I went right down again. It was
Sure.
like, why are you doing this?
Right.
You've learned this. Don't do that.
Yeah. So, well, Deb, so much great stuff today. I
Yeah,
like to
it's
close.
fun.
Yeah, great time. I like to close with these last couple of things.
Okay.
Let's give the audience a piece of advice, one on the personal side, one on the professional side, to help them elevate their life or business.
For professional, definitely embed yourself into your community and don't be afraid to take risk.
Mm-hmm.
Get out there, be your true authentic self though. And whatever you do, do it with passion, do it with love, do it with a vision, and love what you do for sure. And again, kind of the little things that we talked about is get to know other people, network, and get involved in things that not always for the reason of bringing you business, but for the reason that it will make your life happier. And then personal, kind of what I just said. Don't let that one negative thing ruin your whole day. You're better than that. We all know our worth better than anyone else. And I think when someone tries to question it, it makes us question ourselves a little bit. So don't do that. Use your energy for positive things and don't go down that rabbit hole with the negative things and stay positive.
Love it. And is there anything we can do community wide to help all of us here elevate Springfield and the surrounding communities?
Action. Truly. I see every time somebody says, what are you going to do? It's like, shop local. Well, that's just noise unless you act upon it.
Exactly.
And, I can shop local, but unless I show people that I shop local, unless I introduce people to shopping local, unless I share what I do, so I take action to what you want to have happen in Springfield and be positive. I kind of get tired of the negative stuff out there all the
Exactly.
time. When a business closes, instead of sharing positive things, it's like, well, or they,
Right.
let's be more positive about Springfield.
Hmm.
The negativity is going to get us nowhere. And I think we have great things in store for Springfield that will help us all.
I love it. I love it. Take action. That's one of my
Yeah,
mantras too, because we can all talk a good game and it can make people feel good, but action is what really makes a difference. So that's what we
absolutely.
needed. Well, Deb, if somebody wants to take some action and do some business with you,
Yeah.
where do they get a hold of you at?
Love to. Well, I'm always at the real estate group, and then we have a website, debsarsanyteam.com. Find us on Facebook. We have a Facebook also page, Deb Sarsany Team. We try to put good things out there, and then you can always find my phone number on just about any of the ads and things that we do. So would love to work with anybody who is wanting to jump into this crazy market.
There you go. Well, Deb, appreciate you coming down. Had a great time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Well, we're going to let Deb get back to elevating Springfield, but for the rest of y'all, we'll be right back.